on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we have some extremely exciting information to go over in regards to both meat and race, cut game modes from Black Ops 2 Zombies that unfortunately never saw the light of day. So yesterday I was doing a live premiere for a world's first 8-player Victus Super Easter egg completion on Plutonium, and during that premiere in my live chat, some people kept asking me if I had heard the new audio for Black Ops 2 Zombies, and I'm like, what audio? And then after the premiere was over, I was linked to this Reddit post that was posted by Coxie, and in this Reddit post he did say, so I was data mining an old pre-alpha version of Call of Duty and I came across some audio for the race game mode and some other interesting audio that has been hidden in pre-release versions of the game for about 9 years. Earliest cut audio I found is from T6_Greenlight, a pre-alpha version of the game from 2011, and was wondering if Reddit could help me decode a possible cipher I have found. He then left his Discord information, and what's crazy about this is that shortly after I read this, the Reddit post was taken down, so what I assumed is that this was a duplicate post or simply information that we already knew about, and the mods didn't see it as fit for the COD Zombie subreddit. But you know how Reddit is, that's just the way everything goes, right? So I go ahead and do some research on YouTube, and sure enough, there is of course meat and race audio that has been in the public eye for a very long time. We have the scripts for these modes that have been on YouTube for well over 7 years, and then just as of a month ago, somebody actually re-uploaded all of the audio for both of these modes. However, the specific Zombies audio that this guy Coxie is talking about is actually not a part of the audio that's public on YouTube, and Coxie goes by the name of Jack as well, so we'll just call him Jack in this video. And the strange thing with Jack was that I personally felt I was being trolled. He didn't want to share it with me because he didn't want to get publicity off of it, but he sent it to a YouTuber that has 60,000 subs, and now Dalek posted a video about it, so I'm a bit confused as to what he was getting at. But my buddies then reached out to me and informed me that the audio isn't exactly new. They found it about a month and a half ago, just never put it into the public, but they were kind enough to send me the zip file of the audio quotes. I know Russian did have the first video talking about these zombified Richtofen quotes. His video will also be linked down below in the description. Now this is audio of zombified Richtofen as just a head, and I think early on it was going to be used for both race or meat or just one or the other, and then after grief became a thing, which kind of spawned off of race and meat, I think at one point they were planning on using Richtofen's head for cell block grief on Mob of the Dead, and that just didn't work out either. And also as a reminder, these lines were recorded by Colin Ayers, the senior sound designer over at Treyarch, and it makes sense, right? You have Colin recording these lines as a bit of a placeholder while they're testing and building the game, and then later on in development they'll bring in Nolan North to re-record these lines for a final release. But let's go ahead and take a listen.
Hey, I'm over here. Why don't you come and pick me up? Let's play toss the head. Stop leaving me on the ground. God, it's really dirty on the ground. Come and get me.
Oh, that zombie cannot jump up that high. How about a little help from Uncle Richtofen? I'll just pick this zombie up and... You know, I always knew that little brat cheated.
Now in regards to the story implications of Richtofen's head, I guarantee you they were going in a completely different direction with the Ether storyline at that point when Richtofen's head was going to play a role in some of these side modes. And I know Buried in Moon were supposed to be this paradox taking place at the same time. Zelensky had some ridiculous plans for Ether that luckily didn't see the light of day, because I think that would have got extremely messy and would have thrown off everybody's understanding of what Ether was all about. So luckily Blundell came in and fixed all of that, didn't let that crazy paradox plot see the light of day. But with Richtofen's head now, like I said earlier, I do think it would have been something that could have bridged the gap for people that were like, oh, I'm not liking Victus, I want to see Ultimates come back. You know, that head would have led to some really cool things. And in terms of storyline now, maybe if it was featured on Mob of the Dead in some way via side mode or even on the main map, that could have also bridged the gap to connect Mob of the Dead a lot better with the Ether story we all knew. Because when Mob of the Dead first came out, there were a few references to hint that it was all connected, but a lot of people still thought that it was part of this new story or going in a different direction or just not canon to Ether at all as a celebrity map, right? But sure enough, Mob of the Dead plays a huge role in the Ether story, and maybe Richtofen's head on that map could have told that story a lot better. So when Blood of the Dead got announced, a lot of people theorized that maybe Richtofen's head could play a role in the upcoming remake. Maybe Blundell would take that concept and reuse it somehow. Maybe when Richtofen's in the Dark Mechanism at the very end, his head gets chopped off of some sort. That would have been brutal. But, you know, they could have definitely played on that a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like Blundell was interested in playing on that very much. And I think, you know, once Blundell came in and started rewriting the story in a different direction, I think he was like, we're going to leave that on the cutting room floor. That isn't really worth exploring in the future. But still an amazing concept. Once again, shout out to everybody who actually has gameplay of this head in action. All credit is down below in the description. Now, there's also these weird whispering noises that I played, and I believe it's just ambient noise, maybe when you pick up Richtofen's head, or just background noise when you're exploring different areas of the map. I don't think it's referencing anything in particular, and I don't think it's a cipher either. I know throughout just about all the zombies maps Treyarch has done, there are always some creepy sound effects when you enter certain sections of the map, when you pick up certain items, and do certain steps of an Easter egg. Now, I think Race and Meat were really interesting concepts back for Black Ops 2 Zombies, and also in the background you are seeing some Mob of the Dead remastered gameplay from the Steam Workshop. In this custom remaster, Richtofen's lab is actually put underneath Alcatraz via an elevator shaft, and Richtofen's head, the exact same model that would have been in Black Ops 2, is featured in this lab, which is really cool. So in regards to Race and Meat now, the rules of Race are pretty fascinating, right? You have to kill the necessary amount of zombies to open your door and progress to the end. First team to make it wins. So another 4v4 type of mode, which is interesting because I think Mark Lamia made it clear too before Black Ops 2 dropped that 4v4 or the competitive side of zombies would play a huge role throughout that entire DLC season, but in reality it really didn't. It was just Grief. So I think Grief spawned off of elements of both Race and Meat, and I don't think Grief would have actually existed if Race and Meat actually released with the launch of Black Ops 2. So Race sounds a little bit like Rush in a way, where you have to move from objective to objective and doors won't specifically open until you're finished killing zombies. So I do like how Blundell took a look at, you know, modes from the past that just didn't make it and kind of revolutionized them a little bit for Black Ops 4 Zombies. And I have my opinion on Rush. I think Rush could have been so much more than what it was, and even though it got support throughout the entire year and was always available with every new map that released, I still don't think they did enough with it. They didn't market it enough. They didn't really give specific contracts to play Rush, you know, to increase longevity of the mode. They didn't add things to it later on. It was just kind of there, and I think they could have done so much more if Blundell was still in charge for the entire season of Black Ops 4 Zombies. Now, when it comes to Meat, this is also a fascinating mode. So it says when the meat drops, grab it and throw it. Zombies will attack the side who has the meat. If you do not throw it in time, you will die. So another 4v4 experience that I think obviously has a lot more substance than what Grief is. And Grief's cool and all, and I've always thought Grief was exciting to play with, you know, your friends. You could team up in a whole party of 8, and you don't have to even play against each other. You can play together, which is pretty funny if you have a Discord call open. But with Grief, there just isn't much substance past, I guess, going for high rounds. I mean, the meat's there in the mode, and it can cause some challenges, but clearly the meat was meant for so much more, and there was a whole mode centered around it. I believe Race would have spawned you at the tunnel, you know, the tunnel by Bus Depot at the very beginning of the game. So I love what they were going for with taking the big ass map, which is Transit, and breaking it up into lots of different subsections, and there would be a new mode to play on each subsection. So I think Turn would have still made it, and Turn is of course on Diner. You would have had Race over at the tunnel, and maybe you would have had Meat spawn you near the lab or something, right? So you have a game mode at every single location. Maybe Grief still would have came out at some point later on after that, you know, sure enough. But I know Blundell talked a little bit about these modes over when he was on Zombros a couple years ago, and yeah, they just ran out of time, so these modes just couldn't see the light of day. To end this video off, I'm gonna play a good portion of a lot of the other audio that was already in the public eye for Race and Meat. That video is about 12 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll just play a good portion of it, but I'll have that full video linked down below in the description, and leave all your thoughts down below. What do you guys think about Race and Meat? Should the modes have released at some point? Do you think they should adapt these modes again in the future? And what do you think about Richtofen's head? You know, what does it really mean? How that have impacted the story? And also, as another reminder too, I have plenty of Zombies videos dropping throughout this week. It's been crazy covering Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 campaign remaster, but I'm ready to hop back onto the Zombies grind and do a mix of content for the rest of this week, and hopefully we get some Call of Duty teasers for for Treyarch's next installment very soon, because I'm really excited to get back into the Treyarch grind, but really hope you've enjoyed, and let's roll the audio.
Hello, my sexy leg participants. It is your fearless leader, Richtofen. Welcome to Race. It's very easy. Just kill the required amount of zombies to open a door, move through to the next area, and repeat until you cross the finish line. A glorious game, if I do say so myself. Be sure to cause your opponent some grief along the way. Get ready to race. Hey there, willing participants. Welcome to meat. The rules are easy. When the meat drops, you finally reached manhood. I mean, grab it, throw it, don't get caught with it. Zombies will only attack you if your side has the meat. Don't die and you might just win. Feel free to kick it too, my pretties. Get ready to play meat. Grief has landed. Protect it from the zombies and send it back to your opponents. Okay, so here's what is going to happen. You as a player, you know who you are, pretty. You need to shoot targets to get the bridge to fall down. Oh wait, you don't have any bullets. Try killing zombies by stabby stabby!